and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Sophie from Third Eye Traveller and I make magical videos from places that feel like a fairy tale. And today I'm here at Strawberry Hill House in Richmond to see Horace Walpole's 18th century Gothic mansion, which is like something out of a fairy tale. It's near central London and Hampton Court Palace, so it makes a great day trip from the centre. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what this is all about. There's free parking, thankfully, and I'm really excited to see these incredible house and gardens. So come with me on a tour of Strawberry Hill House in Richmond.
Strawberry Hill House is truly a unique residence in West London that looks like something from a Gothic novel, with its white gleaming walls and battlements. It was created by the writer, or man of letters, Horace Walpole, and is seen as the birthplace of Gothic Revival Architecture. Every room in this extravagant house is unique and was inspired by medieval history and adventures from Walpole's Grand Tour of Europe. Horace Walpole was born in 1717 and was the third son of Sir Robert Walpole, Britain's first Prime Minister. Horace is known for writing the world's first Gothic novel, The Castle of Otranto, and he was a famous name in 18th century society. His passion for literature, art and architecture came from his Grand Tour of Europe, and he felt compelled to purchase land on Chopstraw Hill in 1747 in fashionable Twickenham. Walpole then started his project of a summer residence he called his Little Gothic Castle on the banks of the River Thames with battlements, pinnacles and a round tower. His love for medieval history and his adventures on his grand tour inspired much of the Gothic Revival interiors, and the designs were a pioneer for their time. It piqued local interest and became a popular tourist attraction, with guided tours conducted daily by his housekeeper. Walpole published a strict set of rules on the number of tours allowed per day, when they could take place, and that children were strictly prohibited. As much as Horace loved to entertain ambassadors, royalty and the aristocracy, he got a bit fed up with the middle classes, especially when sickness spread in the city. After Horace Walpole died in 1797, he had no heirs, so he left the house to his cousin's daughter, Anne Seymour Dahmer. Anne was a renowned sculptor of her time. It then passed to Elizabeth Waldegrave, who made an expansion, and then to her grandson, John Waldegrave. Unfortunately, John died very young, and so he left the house to his brother George Waldegrave, who was a bit of a scoundrel. George was sent to prison for riotous behaviour, and he let the house fall to ruin out of spite. He later arranged the great 1842 family sale and sold off most of Horace Walpole's precious collection he'd amassed during his lifetime in just over a week. Many of Walpole's possessions were then scattered to various collectors, and the house was abandoned. It was then taken over by St Mary's University in Twickenham in 1923. Since 2004, Walpole's Little Gothic Castle has been lovingly restored to its original design, and the team at the Strawberry Hill Trust have based their revival on extensive research using diary entries, sketches and original plans. They have worked incredibly hard to open the manor to the wider public. It's had millions of pounds worth of funding to make the project a success, as well as countless historic restoration experts working on the house. As many of Horace Walpole's items were sold off, some of the portraits inside are donations from art galleries and the Lewis Walpole Library at Yale. Horace Walpole's legacy was starting the Gothic Revival Architecture movement of the 18th and 19th centuries. His style is so famous it's now coined Strawberry Hill Gothic, and has inspired many great houses since its creation. You can now visit this little Gothic mansion, its delightful gardens and a cafe in Twickenham, and I highly recommend it.
So Strawberry Hill House is open from Saturday to Wednesday at 11 till 4, but the gardens open from 9 AM to 4 PM, and you have a wonderful garden cafe here. You can also wander around the gardens of Strawberry Hill House until it opens, and it's a good job that there is a coffee house because I am in desperate need of some coffee. They serve afternoon teas and light lunches as well if you wanted to treat yourself to something a little special. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the garden so far, just having a look around. It's quite peaceful apart from the traffic and sirens of London, but it is absolutely wonderful, and it's such a great free garden to come and visit in London.
The gardens are completely free to visit and are well worth exploring after or before your tour inside Strawberry Hill House. You can visit the open field with panoramic views of the Gothic castle in the distance that make a great photo opportunity. Also, they have a fabulous shell seat that you can pose with, which I absolutely loved. It's so unique and I've never seen anything like this on my travels. It's a recreation of Horace Walpole's original design, and he got the inspiration from Paris with their shell mania on his grand tour of Europe. This is from his Sweet Walk, which is something that the house is trying to restore in the gardens, so watch this space. You can also see Elizabeth Waldegrave's expansion of the manor, but this is part of the university grounds of Twickenham and you can't enter, but it's still beautiful from the outside.
So my house entry is at 11 o'clock and I've just had a lovely time in the gardens, but I'm in desperate need of a coffee, so I'm going to go to the garden cafe now. Excited to get a coffee and just relax for a little bit. I've seen heron as well.
Yes, my eyes didn't deceive me. Don't forget to say hello to their resident heron, Horace, who is the real king of Strawberry Hill House. He can often be seen sitting by the cafe doors waiting for food. He also knows how to pose, and I thought he looked very regal on the steps outside in between the two gold statues. In the old cloister of the house, you'll find the delightful garden cafe by Roots and Berries, and it's owned by the nicest couple. They had both indoor and outdoor seating, and it's such a lovely place to have a drink or some brunch. I absolutely loved some of Horace Walpole's quotes that they had on the walls with hanging plants. A personal favourite of mine was "I begin to be ashamed of my own magnificence." You can find mugs and magnets with these quotes on at the shop if you fancy a souvenir. It's a great place to grab a coffee before your tour of Strawberry Hill House. Despite it being very chilly, I had a really nice ice black coffee here. Then the time had arrived for me to enter Horace Walpole's little Gothic castle or Strawberry Hill House, and I honestly couldn't wait. As soon as you step inside, you'll find yourself in the stunning entry hall that leads you into the great parlour. Painted in a stunning powder blue, this large room has portraits of Horace Walpole's nieces and other family members. If you look at the stained glass windows that overlook the gardens, you can see some wonderful etchings in the glass panels. These can be found throughout the house and depict a mix of stories from great battles to famous romances. Before you head upstairs, don't forget to look at the goldfish bowl in the main hall. It's made of blue chinaware and is supposedly where Horace's poor cat drowned. This caused his friend to write "Death of a Favourite Cat drowned in a tub of goldfishes" in 1747. But don't worry, as Horace was known to make up stories about his possessions in his collection, this is most likely a fabrication, and I really hope so. The staircase that leads you to the upper rooms is breathtaking, with the floral skylights overhead that light the space, and the colourful lantern. The patterns on the wallpaper look like they are carved, but it's an illusion of stucco work and was inspired by Prince Arthur's tomb in Worcester Cathedral. If you head to the landing, you'll find the armoury with 3 Gothic arches, and in here there are some wonderful pieces like the trophy of arms. You'll also see a partial suit of armour that was supposedly owned by King Francis I of France. Although a small space, I thought it was a fascinating insight to Horace's love of medieval history. Don't forget to spot the heraldic antelopes and a copy of King Henry VII with St George slaying the dragon. The original can be found in Hampton Court Palace. My favourite room of the entire house has to be the library, which is the most Gothic room. It's considered by many to be the first Gothic library in Britain. Much of the castle of Otranto was inspired by this house, so it makes sense that Horace Walpole was a great lover of letters, reading and books. The library shelves have ornate archways to house the book collection. It was designed by both Horace Walpole and John Chute, taking influence from his love of medieval history and great buildings like St Paul's Cathedral, Westminster Abbey and Canterbury Cathedral. Many of Horace Walpole's original book collection was sold off in the Great Family Sale of 1842, so much of this library was donated from the Lewis Walpole Library at Yale University. All of the books have a specific place as they are organised in the 17th century system of a letter for the library section, a number for the bookshelf in question, and then a position of the book itself. As you can imagine, Horace was not best pleased when people moved his books. He also took great delight in making people work out how the tops of shelves opened, and as you can see, it opens like a cupboard so you can reach the top of the books. I thought this was such an inventive design, and I couldn't get over the amazing details of this incredible Gothic library. I could have spent an age admiring all the enchanting details, and although you won't be able to smell it, the smell in this room was incredible from all the old books. There was also a beautiful fireplace, some incredible stained glass windows that had covers to protect the books, and one of the most impressive parts was the ornate painted ceiling, where you'll find mythical creatures, a Saracen's head which is on the Walpole coat of arms, and many heraldic emblems. I had sky-high expectations for this Gothic library, and I've been wanting to visit for an age, and I'm happy to say that my visit exceeded all expectations, and this is by far one of my favourite rooms in the entire house. Out of all the rooms, this is the one that really feels Gothic. As an avid reader and book lover, I was in my element here. Arguably, the most impressive room of the house has to be the spectacular Crimson and Gold Gallery, which was created to hang portraits and for Horace to show off to his guests whilst entertaining them. The design was inspired by Elizabethan and Jacobean long galleries, but unlike the dark wood galleries of the era, Walpole's gallery was decorated in a show-stopping crimson damask and gold with mirrors. The fan ceiling is made of papier-mâché and painted in finer detail with gold. It was inspired by Henry VII's chapel at Westminster Abbey. After the Great Family Sale, many of Horace Walpole's original portraits were sold off, save the portrait of Catherine Medici and her children, one of the most powerful queens in French history. Many of the paintings we see in this gallery today are loaned from the Dulwich Picture Gallery, and some are even facsimiles of historic portraits in resin frames, but you could never tell. This really felt like a fantasy ballroom, and I could just imagine having a lavish party in here. The Trust have done such an incredible job of restoring this amazing room. After you've been to the gallery, you must visit the breathtaking tribune that's attached to it. This room was another one of my favourites, as the shape and details were utterly breathtaking. It almost felt like a secret chamber. It was created as a little chapel in 1761 and was named after the Tribuna in the Uffizi Gallery of Florence, containing the Medici family's cabinet of treasures. You'll see the walls painted in gold detail, and if you look up to the top of the arch ceiling, there's a star-shaped skylight. Around the room, you'll find copy miniatures of statues in niches, such as the famous Venus de Medici and small paintings of Dutch and Flemish life. Although a small space, it's absolutely stunning, and you could spend an age taking in all the tiny details, including these fabulous coloured stained glass windows. I particularly loved the skylight, as I felt it added a hint of drama to this room. After your visit to the tribune, make your way through to the round room of the gallery, and you'll find this incredible crimson room with a colourful stained glass window. All around the room you'll see a set of beautiful portraits and a fireplace. The stained glass is decorated with many heraldic coat of arms and portraits of great kings. And in the centre of the room you'll find a display case with a set of spectacular coconut goblets that were collected by Walpole and were donated to the house. Another room that I absolutely loved was the Holbein Chamber. It's painted in a fabulous purple with a stucco ceiling. This was a homage to Horace Walpole's obsession with King Henry VIII and Tudor history. All around the room you'll find copies of Hans Holbein's sketches of King Henry VIII's court. You'll find famous figures like Thomas Cromwell and Jane Seymour, so make sure to ask the volunteers for a map with an index. The sketches are also joined by a fabulous portrait gallery of Tudor monarchs like Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn and Mary I of England. Although these portraits weren't in Henry Walpole's original collection, I'm sure he would have absolutely loved them. There are so many rooms and details in this house, and you could spend all day finding something new. Here are some other notable features that you can look out for on your visit. The first is the stunning blue bedchamber that's painted in a cobalt blue and was Horace Walpole's bedroom. It features a copy of Robert Walpole's bed that Horace inherited. I absolutely loved the bedding with the heraldic emblem on the headboard that was added during the recent restoration, and this stunning portrait that hangs above the fireplace. Another unique room is the Green Chamber, with a hanging velvet canopy on the ceiling. This is so historically significant that it's protected by English heritage. This room also has an antechamber called the Green Closet. It has a set of miniature portraits and a copy of Horace's old writing desk, as this is where he used to write his letters and his books. Horace Walpole is also known as the man of letters, and he had his very own printing house on the grounds, which he called the Affinia Albertinia. This is where he printed a guidebook for visitors and other pamphlets. I found the process absolutely fascinating, and it really makes you appreciate printed books today. Then all that was left was to head down the incredible staircase again and enter their gift shop, where they had a delightful range of souvenirs that you could buy, including Horace Walpole quotes on mugs and keyrings. I then had a lovely toastie at the Cafe by Roots and Berries, which was the perfect tonic after my massive walk on the grounds and the tour around the house. I then had a small walk around the grounds where you could see some fascinating details from Elizabeth Waldegrave's expansion of the house, which is now part of the University of Twickenham. You can then walk around the grounds and take in the atmosphere, and it's a lovely place to walk on a sunny day. I would say that you need around 2 to 3 hours to visit this incredible house so you can visit everything at a relaxed pace. It's such an incredible day out from London, and I highly recommend that you go.
So I've had such an amazing time here at Strawberry Hill House. This place is unlike anything I have ever seen before. It's so quirky, it's so amazing, and there's such a mix of architectural styles and inspirations here. Of course, you've got Gothic Georgian style, you've got all of these inspirations from cathedrals and churches, and things that Horace Walpole saw on his grand tour of Europe. It's just been absolutely incredible to visit all of the rooms, especially the library. That was probably my favourite room of the whole house because it really is Gothic. Highly recommend that you go. It's around £16 for an adult and well worth the money. The staff inside are really knowledgeable on nearly every single item of the house, and they can really help you and make your tour really memorable here at Strawberry Hill House. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please remember to subscribe for more magic. Thank you. Bye.